Researching something this week, and boy, did it piss me the off.
Tell us, Phil, why should we get mad with you?
So, kind of a distressing trend in American labor is we're losing our unions. You got 1983 on the bottom, we got 2023, and as you can see, this bottom part, this is union membership rate. So it wasn't even that high in 1983. Only 20% of Americans were in a union. But steadily ever since then, ever since the Reagan era, the percent of Americans who are part of a union has been going down and down and down. And you might ask, why is this a bad thing? Well, you can see that income gains in the top dwarf those of middle-income households. Ever since 1983, the top 1% have been acquiring way more wealth than any other Americans.
The poor are also getting richer, right?
Relatively, they're getting poorer because the rich are getting more rich.
This isn't accounting for inflation or anything like that.
I say, even if it is inflation adjusted, my question was like, there's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Inflation doesn't capture things like cost of housing, right? For example.
Housing is really important because those top 1% earners are the types of people who are going to be able to afford multiple houses. Just the pressure of them wanting to own multiple houses is going to drive up the prices for houses for everybody.
Yeah, I think also education, healthcare are also not reflected in inflation adjustment numbers, to other areas where costs have exploded.
Look, it's just a correlation. Correlation isn't everything. See the classic example, global average temperature versus number of pirates. As the number of pirates decrease, the global temperature increases.
Are they saying that there are 17 pirates in the world today? Or there were in 2000?
There were in 2000, yeah.
That's bullshit. This graph, I don't think this is reliable information, Phil.
Anywho, correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation, but I think it is safe to say there is some relationship between the decreasing power of labor and the increasing wealth gap. The less powerful labor is and the less able they are to fight for the things that they need to survive, the more the rich are empowered to take away from them. I think a lot of people are on the same tip. I've got this Pew Research Center poll. Majority of Americans say the decline in the share of unionized workers has been bad for the U.S. Interestingly, only a little over half say that it's been bad for the U.S. Like 43% say that, like, oh yeah, this is good. I'm glad that the rich are stealing everything. And not interestingly, predictably, the majority of those people lean Republican.
Why do you think that Republican voters, the majority of them who are voting against their interests, who think that unions are bad and bad for them and bad for America, how are they being fooled?
They have the mistaken notion that they will one day be the rich, when the majority of them will not.
I don't think it's entirely that. Also, like, corporations have been running a long PR campaign to like paint unions as bad. The union will keep bad workers from getting fired. They'll take your wages away if you join a union because of the union dues. And also, there is one kind of union that Republicans absolutely love, dude.
Police unions.
Yeah, they fucking love police unions. What's good for the police is good for everybody.
I feel like part of it is that the whole union concept, like, in order for a union to be a good thing, you have to get past the fact that you have to pay dues, right? You have to have like 2 steps of logical reasoning, right? Which I think is too hard for most people. And so then it's just, you only get 1 step. And
really, this is kind of like a theme in like a lot of Republican stuff, right? Like I feel like they kind of have an advantage in selling things to people because the way the Republicans say that things is kind of the way that things like should be. If you work hard, you should prosper. Right?
Right.
And it's only once you like apply complexity to like, what if you get sick and you can't work anymore? Do you deserve to be kicked out on the street? Stuff like that.
I'm going to take this all as constructive criticism, and I'm going to throw it back at you with this. I'm going to get real simple.
okay.
If you can't make Elon Musk money, he wants you fucking dead. Recently, Elon Musk won a court case, a 3-0 decision of GOP-appointed judges, and they declared that the National Labor Relations Board is unconstitutional. So just the whole thing. Like, he went into court fighting against some employees who wanted severance pay, and they lost so hard that the National Labor Relations Board was essentially eliminated.
So has this been appealed, or I guess the government would have to appeal it?
It's going to the Supreme Court. And the thing that was deemed unconstitutional was the fact that the National Labor Relations Board is administrative judges. But we're getting away from the simplicity here. Basically, Elon Musk hates workers so much that he's willing to destroy the apparatus that gives them any power in cases against their employers.
I mean, so does he really want them dead, or does he want them enslaved?
He wants them dead. We talked a little bit about like this universal basic income being like a platform. Total bullshit. You know what they actually fight for is taking away your health care, taking away Medicaid. They take away your SNAP benefits. They take away your food. They take away subsidized housing. They take away your shelter. If you can't provide money to the people at the top, they want you unhoused, starving, and sick. Essentially, they want you fucking dead.
What's his name? Like Curtis Yarvin or whoever? He's like this thinker. I don't even want to say thinker, like that gives him too much credit, but like all these like tech bros.
Public speaker.
Yeah. And he recently said something like most Americans should be turned into fertilizer.
There you go, literally dead. You might ask yourself, why does Elon want to have artificial general intelligence and humanoid robots? Probably not for you. Probably not for your well-being.
To kill you. To take away everything that could provide you sustenance and to kill you because it would make him more money. He wants you dead. Like the funny jokes, funny, good content, funny jokes. Also, the rich are trying to kill you and it's self-defense to... So I am unequivocally in favor of fighting class war because the war is already on and we're losing. It's good to remember that things like the NLRB, these are compromises between labor and capital. We had this fight. We came up with some laws and the fighting died down. Now they're taking away those compromises. You know what happens when they take away your ability to fight this peacefully? If there are no peaceful alternatives, there are... It's already happening, and they want you dead. And funny jokes, insert funny jokes here, good content.
If you look back at where these compromises came out of, it's the capitalists became too afraid of a revolution, and so they passed a few, sops to the working class to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, they're not afraid anymore, and they should be.
Phil, I agree with you. I think this is, clearly what's going on. We're in the midst of some serious class warfare here, and especially Republicans have not caught on. They somehow think that the billionaire Donald Trump is fighting for them. The media system is intentionally dividing the country along partisan lines to distract us from the actual fight that's happening, which is along class lines.
This is a great time to bring up the Lyndon B. Johnson quote, which is, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
We're being distracted from the class battle. In that case, he's talking about with, racial, and we have these culture wars right now, these partisan battles, these culture battles.
Look over there. Trans girls in high school sports.
Exactly. Yeah.
Truly a critical issue for the ages. Every other problem is solved. So now we can tackle this one.
It's been on my mind related to this is these class wedges and the class boundaries and wedges that are being, put between us. I think that one big challenge that we have is getting the upper middle class on the same side as the lower classes.
PMC, professional managerial class.
The professional managerial class.
If you want to sound fancy, that's what the term everyone uses.
It takes that two steps of reasoning to say, even though this gets me ahead right now, in the long term, they'll come from my kids next. Right, but if you're talking about what is the class battle right now, it's yes, the 1% divided. They include lots of people who donate to Democrats, and many of the Democratic politicians themselves.
Those Democrats vote for things that are contrary to the goals of the oppressed classes. They express a desire for affordable housing, but they're out there protesting new housing developments because it would drive down housing prices, which is the point. This is supposed to drive down the housing prices. They profess sympathy for the homeless, but vote in favor of sweeping them, taking all their stuff, what little meager possessions they have, and putting them into direct conflict with the police where they could be killed or jailed. It's hypocrisy. and it's barely masked, and it's class war. Like, we can't consider that percent of people to be allies. They can either actually ally themselves with us, or they are our enemies.
Or we could persuade them.
It's persuading time.
Yeah, it's persuading time. That's right. I think that like NIMBYism is one of the central problems. Like they still think that their investments should just be growing and growing and growing.
And they don't necessarily see how that is actually part of the system that creates these other problems.
Right. So resolving that contradiction, I think that's where a big rhetorical battle is going to happen.
Just got to get everyone who gets paid a wage on the same side. You know, a dentist who makes $800,000 a year has more in common with a McDonald's worker than he does with Elon Musk.
So that does it for another episode of Class War. Smash that like and subscribe so hard you blast your fist.
Okay, easy. Turn
Just-
your NIMBY parents.
Not on purpose. No, just like right through the keyboard. I love you. Good night.